Welcome to Birth Words. You are listening to episode number 48. And in today's episode, we'll meet Stacey and Chanel, who will talk to us about the language of adoption.
Welcome to Birth Words. Words are powerful. What are you doing with yours? In this podcast, birth doula and applied linguistics scholar Sarah Pixton invites you to be intentional, reflective, and empowering with your language as we come together to honor those who give birth. The work of Birth Words is to elevate the language surrounding pregnancy, birth, and the postpartum period. Nothing in this podcast should be taken as medical advice.
I'm so pleased today to introduce you to Stacey Davis and Chanel Green. Stacey is a birth doula and an MSW candidate. As a birth mom, she is affiliated with Life After Placement, a nonprofit organization that serves women who choose adoption for their newborn. Chanel is a birth mother of 9 years. She has an incredibly open adoption and enjoys spending time with her birth son and his family. Chanel now has 2 adorable children of her own and spends her little free time offering support to other birth moms. Welcome, Stacey and Chanel, to the Birth Words podcast.
Thanks for having us.
I'm so excited and interested to hear your perspectives and experiences today. And we're going to talk a little bit, as I said in the intro, about your experiences being birth moms, and then coming from those experiences, what recommendations and guidelines and just things to think about that you would give to others who are interacting with people that may be in a similar situation as you guys have had in your life. So I wanted to first give you the chance to tell your story. How did you come to be interested in birth work? What is your role as you see it, and how does it kind of tie in with your life experiences? Stacey, do you want to start?
Yeah, well, with my first birth, it was a 20-hour train wreck. I had no doula support like I wish I had. And then after the birth of my second son, I experienced postpartum depression. And both of these experiences led me to a place where I simply wanted to help other women not go through what I went through.
Mm-hmm.
I recognize that having that support emotionally, physically, and mentally during birth and the immediate postpartum stages can make a real difference in your parenting journey. I had a natural instinct that being able to have neutral, ongoing support from another human being could make a significant difference. And now that I'm in grad school for social work, I'm actually learning that my natural instinct of connection is actually an evidence-based modality.
Yeah. Interesting. Cool. Chanel, do you want to share a little bit about your story?
Yeah, absolutely. So I don't do birth work, but I do spend a lot of time with birth mothers and just kind of seeing that after placement. And it's been really interesting to see those that have those more positive adoption birth words versus those that don't, and how they view their adoptions. It makes a huge difference.
Cool. I'm excited to hear more as we talk some more. So first, I'd love to hear both of you tell your experiences about choosing adoption for your newborn and the role that language played for you during that pregnancy and also in that birth space.
So I got pregnant young. I was only 16, and the birth father was uninterested in any form of being part of the pregnancy, the parenting, etc. But I am incredibly stubborn and was like, well, I'll just do this myself then. I got this. I don't need no man. And planned to parent, found out I was having a little boy, super excited, went through, even had my baby showers. And 2 weeks before he was born, I met his parents. And when I met them, I just knew. I knew that was his mom and dad. And so they were in the room when I had him. It was incredible. It was incredible. And one of the biggest things I think that comes with the birth words of that adoption is a lot of times, people say give up. I wasn't forced to place. He wasn't taken from me. I didn't give up on parenting him. It wasn't that I couldn't do it. It's that I gave him more. I chose a family that had two parents and that was financially stable, and that he could have a fantastic big brother and go on cool adventures, and that he would have like all the love that any kid could hope for. It had nothing to do with me not wanting him or me not loving him or me giving up on my ability to raise him. I gave him more.
That's so beautiful. I really appreciate you sharing your story. I'm tearing up just listening to, that's so moving how you talked about how you knew his parents when you met them and that you have that relationship with them. And you mentioned you continue to have a really open adoption relationship I'm interested to hear, we talked about during pregnancy and birth, kind of the way that you framed that with your words. As you've gone on with this open adoption, what role does language play there?
Oh, it's still huge. We have a very, very open adoption. They live just a few miles away from me. We see each other fairly often now that they've got, their boys are getting bigger. I mean, they have Brody's 9, my birth son's 9, and his brother's 12. I've got 2 kids at home that are crazy. And so we don't get as much time to kind of spend physical time together, but we're just talking, texting, and checking in. And one of the big things with that language is that, one, it keeps open communication. He doesn't feel like I gave up. He doesn't, it makes it easier for him that he can be like, he calls me Mommy Chanel. He's like, Mommy Chanel, why did you place me with these people? And we can have that open dialogue. He can understand where I was coming from and my point of view, and that, you know what, it was just his family. But positive adoption language is huge, not just at birth, but as the adoption continues, because it makes a difference in how birth parents kind of feel about their own adoption, but it also makes a difference on how adoptees view themselves.
Yeah.
Where like I gave up for a birth parent is I gave up, I wasn't good enough. Mm-hmm. Or I was given up to an adoptee is I wasn't loved, I wasn't wanted. Mm-hmm. A lot of times I also hear, he's actually told me that he's had people say, oh, you're so lucky to have your adoptive parents, they saved you.
Oh, wow.
Where that's not the case.
Yeah.
I'm a great mom. And we could have done great, and we could have been fine. But it was his family. And so just kind of trying to get rid of some of those really negative words, because they don't make anybody feel good. And they don't make anything more positive or better.
Thank you. That's really insightful. I appreciate all the thoughts that you shared. Do you find that as you support other birth mothers, that language and the words that they use and choose plays a big role in that?
Oh, absolutely. A lot of birth moms that I know that I would consider more angry, the ones that are upset about their adoption, they hate the adoptive couple, or they feel like they were forced into it. They use gave up a lot or relinquished, which is the legal term, but it's still harsh.
Yeah.
Surrendered is one that I hear a lot too. I surrendered my baby, which is it's white flag. I gave up. I can't do this.
Yeah.
And it seems to be a pretty recognizable pattern that the ones that use the more negative terminology have the more negative adoptions. It also comes though from the adoptive couple. A lot of times the adoptive couple will be like, oh yeah, we adopted him, you gave him up. And when they use those terms, it does affect the birth mom and the adoptees directly. Yeah. But the ones that are more comfortable in their adoptions and have, I don't know, usually I feel like it comes with having more education, I guess, on all sides. But the adoptive parents that are more open and loving and want this to be a family and use terminology like we're a family. Like I said, I'm Mommy Chanel. I'm just another mom. I'm another person to love him. And people that use more of that family and loving terminology seem to have more loving, comfortable adoptions. Not that things don't get hard and there's not hard days, but they generally view their adoption overall as a more positive experience.
Wow, cool. Thank you for sharing all of that. Stacey, I want to hear answers and thoughts about the same question, your experiences choosing adoption, the role that language played for you then and continues to play now.
Well, when I became pregnant, it was with my partner and I's second child. At that time, I was committed to being a co-parent. My life was perfect by many standards. I had the house, I had the job, and I had the husband. I was a social service worker at the local skilled nursing facility. And at the very end of my pregnancy, the very last week before my due date, my ex sent me a text saying that he was done with our family and done with our relationship. At first, I was just thinking, okay, he's going through some shit, right? He's going through some things. And I tried to work things out with him, but I just had this gut feeling that it was the end. And then he emptied out our bank account and he left me with no support. And it just showed to me that he had absolutely no respect for neither our 3-year-old child or the unborn baby. So I was just like, I've got to do what's best for me and my children. And we moved 3 hours back to my hometown because in the town we were at, I had no support. My family wasn't there. So I moved back home. And this was 2 days before my due date. And I just had this gut feeling that the best choice for this baby would be to place her in a loving home. I felt like I could provide more for my children physically, mentally, and emotionally if my unborn baby could be a part of our lives in an open adoption. And today she's very much a part of our lives. My boys just adore their baby sister. And when I think about adoption language, the statement of giving up does not apply here. I made a choice that was in her best interest and in my boys' best interest. And I knew that that would be what was best.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I love both of your stories. I love that you're coming from very different life circumstances in the time that you chose adoption, but you have just this love and this openness, and I love hearing your stories. So thank you for sharing them. My next question for you is, if you were to give guidelines to family members or birth professionals, adoptive parents, anybody that is involved in an adoption situation, some guidelines about what kind of positive language they can use, what would you say? We've gone into it a little bit, but if there's anything you want to add about guidelines about positive language.
Okay. Women who are choosing adoption, they just need a safe space to feel their emotions, and they need to have their feelings be validated and heard. Often birth moms are told to be grateful, and it's very disheartening and it hurts because yes, she's very grateful for what's going on, but her grief needs to be recognized and listened to. For a birth mom, adoption is very much a grieving journey that will web and flow her entire life, and being able to use language that is positive empowers the woman who is choosing adoption. A woman who chooses adoption, she chooses it because she feels that that is the best choice when she is placed between a rock and a hard place. She doesn't want to give up her child. That's not something that she wants to do. She is making a choice, a life plan for her child. And she's saying, what is the best choice? To parent this child or to place, and often when her heart leads to placing for adoption, she's done it out of careful prayer, careful meditation. She's doing it out of a place of love, and she's not giving up her child. She's just simply wanting the best life possible, given the current circumstances. When the words and actions that you choose to use with her are positive and acknowledge that she is making a very difficult and hard choice, it can empower her and stick with her when her grief becomes unbearable. If you do not know what to say to her, don't say anything. Just sit with her and be there. Just knowing that someone is there sitting with her in her grief can make an incredible difference. There are 3 separate individuals that do need to be considered when choosing the language that you are using in regards to adoption. And we've already talked about this a little bit. There's the parent who is choosing to place, there's the adoptive child, and then there's the parents who are choosing to adopt. And, would you rather hear over and over as you grow up that your mom gave you up, or would you rather hear that your mom made a choice to give you the best life possible? That can tear down an adoptive child, to just hear over and over that your mom gave you up. And that is something that adoptive children struggle with all the time. So when you are working with a woman who has chosen adoption, just assume that she has chosen adoption out of a state of love and allow your words to show to her that you know her choice comes from love.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Chanel, do you have anything that you would add to that?
I think Stacey's dead on with that. I think that language makes a huge difference. And yeah, it affects all three pieces of the triad. It affects everyone involved of, what words you choose to use.
Like when you're telling her to feel grateful or what you're thinking that you need her to hear, often what she needs to hear is, I hear you. I hear that is frustrating. I hear you're in a place of pain and I'm here for you. She doesn't need to be told that the adoption isn't a blessing. She just needs to hear that she has support and that she has loving people in her life.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other comment that I feel like birth moms get a lot is, well, it's your choice. You need to live with it. And it's so harsh. It's yes, it's my choice. I chose what was best for him. That doesn't mean it feels best for me.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Thank you so much, both of you, for opening up, sharing your stories, your feelings, and your perspectives and your guidelines. I think that this is going to be a really meaningful episode to everybody who tunes in and listens to it. And I hope that it causes them to think more about these things than they otherwise would have. So I have a conclusion question for you. If you had to choose one word to summarize your feelings about this topic, what would it be?
I feel like with my adoption, my big word is hope. I feel like that's what it's been since day one. And it's just kind of the continued theme of my adoption. I hoped I was making the right choice, and I hoped that I picked the right family, and I hoped that I could still be in his life, and I hoped that he would be happy, and I hope that, I'd be able to keep progressing and I could be the best version of me. And there's still hope. I still hope that he grows up and he just knows how incredibly loved he is, even if things aren't perfect.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Stacey, what's your word?
The word I would choose would be choice. I made a choice as a mother that I felt would be in my child's best interest. I chose to place my needs and my heartache aside for the best interest of her. I think about all the moms and the choices that they make every day in parenting their children, whether you choose to place or you choose to parent, whether you're a mom who chooses to breastfeed or bottle feed, whether you choose a C-section or a home birth, whatever parenting choice that you are facing, you hope beyond measure that it is the right choice for your child. Often you will receive a feeling in your heart that you are making the right choice for this child and that no matter what, things will be okay in the end. Today, I can choose to look at the blessings the adoption brought into my life, or I can dwell on the grief. Either way, I'm still making a choice.
Thank you. If any of our listeners were interested in connecting with either of you on social media, would you be interested in connecting with them?
Yeah, absolutely.
Could you give your Instagram or Facebook or any of that information?
Yeah, Instagram is chanellie.bellie, CHANELLIE.BELLIE.
You can also find us at lifeafterplacement.com.
Oh, perfect.
And my doula services, I specifically serve women who are choosing to place, and it's at Connecting Hearts Doula Services on Facebook.
And Stacey, you are in Utah. You serve Utah County. Do you serve surrounding counties as well?
It depends. I'm very flexible. You just got to contact me. Let me know what you're...
Reach out to Stacey. Let her know what's going on. Okay, thank you so much. I really appreciate both of you, Stacey and Chanel, and I hope you have a good night.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. You too. Good night.
If you're interested in sharing your ideas or experiences on the podcast, go to birthwords.com. If you're liking what you hear, please leave a review on your podcast app. For more resources about language for a better birth, subscribe to the monthly newsletter at birthwords.com and follow Birthwords on Instagram and Facebook.